It's August the 3rd. You finally downloaded Baldur's Gate 3. Then you're confronted with the hardest choice you'll ever have to make, which is what character do you want to play? So in this video, I'm going to go through some questions you might want to ask yourself if you're unsure what character you want to play. I will say this does rely on some tropes and some stereotypes, but hopefully it's supposed to be a little bit of fun as well. So I created my own little flowchart here. Open character creator. Okay, done that. Do you want to play an origin character? Yes, well then pick that origin character, right? If you want to play an origin character, that's not a very difficult choice to make. You pick that character, right? Let's say I don't want to play an origin character and I want to play a tab, as it were. Alright, first question, or second question, isn't it? Do you want to use magic? This is quite a big choice to make. I'm going to go down the no side first, because it's a bit smaller. And I will say ahead of time, every class does have a subclass that can and does use magic. So even if you go down this side, you're not actually excluding yourself from using any magic. And then, do you like stealing stuff? Yes, so the obvious choice here is a rogue. Let's actually have a quick look at rogue. I'm not going to go over every class in detail. That's not really the point of the video. Rogues are generally stealthy. They are what we call skill monkeys. We can see we've got lots of proficiencies, and we even get expertise, which helps double our proficiency bonus even from level 1. They're not heavily armored. They usually wear light armor, and they get something called sneak attack, so they're not always up in the face of the enemy. But again, they do have a subclass, the Arcane Trickster, that uses magic if you want to use magic. Alright, let's say we don't like stealing stuff. Okay, next question. Do you want to be like Neo from The Matrix? If yes, pick Monk. Now, this is being recorded in early access, so I don't have Monk here, but monks are usually very mobile, usually don't wear armor, get lots of attacks, but each attack is generally a bit weaker, use martial arts, and don't have a huge number of hit points actually. It's one of their downsides. Alright, let's say we don't want to be like Neo. Do you want to be a mindless meat shield? Yes, then Barbarian. So Barbarians have the highest number of hit points per level. They can wear armor, they are proficient with all weapons, and their thing is they go into a rage, which helps them take reduced damage and also increase the damage that they do. In final release, there will be a subclass that actually is linked to magic even, so it's not as if Barbarians can never use magic, but I will say, while raging, they cannot concentrate on any spells or cast any spells. And if you don't want to be a mindless meat shield, and you don't want to use magic particularly, you go for fighter. They can use all weapons, all armor, they get a fighting style at the beginning, are generally quite a solid character. Again, there is a subclass, Eldritch Knight, that uses magic if you do still want to use magic. Generally, Barbarians and Fighters are said to be some of the more simplistic classes. If you're new to Baldur's Gate 3 and you're a bit scared of magic perhaps, Barbarian and Fighter would be two solid choices. Right, let's go back up the tree, back up the flowchart. Now let's say I do want to use magic, that is my main focus. Right, do you still want to swing some weapons? I'm going to go down the yes side because I know it's a bit smaller. Next question. Do you care about justice and all that crap? If you do, you want to be a Paladin. Fueled by your oath, you swore to uphold justice and righteousness, all that nonsense. So, Paladins, much like fighters, can use all weapons and all armor, but they can cast some magic, not at level 1. So there's no option here for magic at level 1, but they do get magic, and their thing also is they get to smite people. So when you hit an enemy, you can increase the damage done. And importantly, when they get to level 6, they get an aura, which helps improve the saving throws of all allies around them. Now, if you don't care about justice and all that crap so much, you will want to be a ranger. So rangers, are, again, like fighters and paladins, can use all weapons, are only proficient with light and medium armor, unless you pick Ranger Knight, in which case you get proficiency in heavy armor as well. And generally a bit more linked with nature. Yeah, deep connection with nature. It can potentially summon beasts. Beast Tamer here, you get Find Familiar. There's a subclass that is all about having a beast. So if that's more your thing, then go for Ranger. But let's say you don't particularly care about swinging weapons, right? You're going to want to go full magic. Right. Do you want to be a magic nerd? Nerd. Become a wizard. Wizards are great. Wizards are great because they can actually scribe scrolls into their spellbook, so they can learn new spells, not just at level up, but any time that they have enough gold and they have the scroll. And kind of your traditional sort of, I don't know, Harry Potter type character where they have to study to learn magic. It doesn't come naturally. So they master the arcane by specializing in individual schools of magic. There will be 8 different subclasses of wizard. It's going to be amazing. Right, but let's say you don't want a magic nerd. Right, fine. Let's go down. Do you want your powers from a higher being? I'm going to go down the yes, because I think it's a bit faster. So yeah, I don't want to have to study. What's all that about? So did you make a dodgy deal in the back alley to get your magic? If yes, pick Warlock. So Warlocks actually have made a pact to an all-powerful patron. It doesn't have to be a god, in fact probably rarely is a god. Now Warlocks tend to have this stereotype of almost like selling their soul to get magic. It doesn't have to be that way, but you do have to pick some sort of a higher being, as it were, to get your powers from. But you also generally make a contract with this higher power. So you might end up signing a contract that, yeah, sells your soul, or allows your patron to do things to you if you don't fulfill that contract. Very dangerous. Now, if you didn't make your deal in the back alley, you probably made it with a god directly, in which case you want to be a cleric. Clerics, representatives of gods, they get their powers from their gods. The gods grant them their powers, essentially. And in early access, they get to choose which deity even gives them their powers. It doesn't make a difference, really, apart from to some dialogue choices. In the final release, there'll be loads of different domains of clerics, and there'll be some that will give you access to all weapons and all armor. I could perhaps have actually put cleric up in here. Do you still want to swing weapons? Because some cleric subclasses do. It's a bit difficult, actually. Clerics are very versatile. Very, very versatile indeed. Right, let's say you don't want your powers from a higher being. Right? You don't want to get your powers from a god or some weird patron. Did you enjoy the bear scene from the last panel from hell? If yes, pick Druid. I'm fairly sure that bear scene is quite infamous by now. So Druids, spellcasters, they can get involved. They can swing a few weapons around. They do have medium armor proficiency, which is nice. But generally, you will be relying on your cantrips, especially from level 5 upwards. And a bit like rangers, they are linked with nature. They get the powers from nature and the elements, and do have the power to transform into beasts. Right, and then again, I'm kind of relying on very large stereotypes within the D&D community here. Do you want to seduce anything and everything that isn't a bear? If yes, pick Bard. Now, personally, I don't really like this stereotype, but like, oh, I want to seduce this, but I know it's a very big thing. So bards are actually very much linked to music, generally. And music is more than just a fancy, it's actually where you get your magical power from. Bards are very versatile. A bit like rogues, they do get many proficiencies. They'll also get expertise at very low levels. They are a full spellcaster, but have some subclasses that give them martial weapon proficiency. Generally, the spells are support, but they do get some damaging spells as well. Great versatile class. I would say if you really don't know what to pick at the end of it, go pick a bard, and then when you get your subclass, you can really kind of personalize your bard, or do same thing for cleric perhaps, except their subclasses at level 1. Alright, and if you don't care about seducing things, you can become a sorcerer. So sorcerers get similar sort of spells to wizards, except their power is innate, it comes from within. And so where your power comes from is kind of what your subclass is. So wild magic, your power comes from ancient forces of chaos, or perhaps your veins have got some draconic magic because you have some powerful dragon ancestor. The way they're different to wizards also is that they get something called meta magic, so they can actually change the spells that they cast. So sometimes, for example, they can cast, instead of casting one spell on one person, they can cast that spell on 2 different people, or target 2 different people, or they can make spells last longer, or cast at a longer range, or something along those lines. The person who is the best at Baldur's Gate 3 is the person having the most fun. So just pick whatever you think is the most fun. You really do not need to pick anything that's optimal. Of course, if you find fun in picking things that are completely optimal, then go ahead. That's your thing. And don't forget, we're going to be able to respec. So let's say you picked a fighter, and then you kind of miss not being able to use magic, so you picked Eldritch Knight, and then you kind of realise, actually, I really like casting magic quite a lot. It's fine, just respec, and go pick one of the classes. Let's zoom out a bit now. Pick one of the classes from the other side. It's not a problem. It's going to cost you apparently like 100 golds. That's nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm starting to think, on my first run, I'm actually going to be messing my class around quite a lot. I'm going to start off as a monk for sure, but then maybe I'll multi-class to see that it maybe doesn't work and go back to being a monk. Perhaps I don't like my subclass and change my subclass. It's alright. I don't think you need to feel the pressure of committing to a single class at the beginning of the run, because do you know what? Things are going to change, and it's absolutely fine. The last consideration you'll need to make, which I haven't put on my flowchart, is whether you're going to go for the Dark Urge or not. Now, we don't know all the details about this. We do know that there are going to be some not very nice things happening if you pick the Dark Urge, and I'm going to leave that for the subject of another video, perhaps after we've got more details about the Dark Urge, so you can make a more informed decision. Let me know what class you think you're going to play, and whether you're going to use the respec option even. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, please do consider subscribing. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit stuffy. I've been suffering from a cold, kind of just about recovering from it. Thank you to all the members from my channel, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.